So what we're doing today is a special message to them. And what I thought would make it interesting is, you're talking all the time about organ harvesting, and that's critically important. And they will just have heard the full show with you and I that we just recorded. We did live, and we also recorded it for a later broadcast on Blog Talk as an audio portion. So they'll have heard that. And I thought, as an added dimension to that, to kind of introduce you more in depth, why don't we say, all right, if this wasn't a talk primarily on organ harvesting, but on what's behind it, what you've learned from it, what's the meaning in this whole adventure and lesson for you, combined with what you've learned from Falun Gong, and out of that could be applied not to just one issue, but to anything, what would you want these people to learn that has taken you a long time to come to?
That Falun Gong is an incredibly beautiful practice, I feel, and that it should be supported as something honorably healthy, and that people should know about what the benefits of Falun Gong are, and that this whole persecution and whole demonization and whole marginalization of such innocent group of people in China must come to an end and is not true. And people, I would love them to learn the exercises, experience the philosophy behind the practice, and yes, and to really, whether they want to practice or not, that's not I don't believe just in the game here. I just think that I would like people to learn that Falun Gong is good and that it should not be persecuted, and is not what the communist regime has been saying in China about it.
Are there teachers of Falun Gong all over the U.S.?
No, just one teacher, but there are volunteers who teach the exercises at about 114 different countries worldwide in the parks where they practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do they practice secretly where they don't want to get killed by the government? Do they have to go meet in people's basements, or what do they do in situations like that?
You mean in China?
Yeah, right.
In China, they are underground. They have been pushed underground because after 1999, it was forbidden completely to practice, and anyone that was caught practicing was sent to labor camps, and their graduation certificates were taken away, their assets were frozen, their children were taken away from them, their properties confiscated, just like a Nazi-style Holocaust in China.
So they don't even need CPS in China, right?
I mean, if you're a Falun Gong practitioner, you are monitored, and the Chinese government has actually created an Operation Golden Shield, a firewall to monitor with the help of Microsoft and some Microsoft systems and Cisco systems to monitor literally a database of Falun Gong and Uyghur Muslims, 17 million Uyghur Muslims in China, in northeastern China. And so they were pushed underground, and 100 million people persecuted. I mean, so
the internet is much more advanced in China, right? They can really control exactly which things you can see and keep track of when you go to unacceptable websites or you try to, and stuff like that.
Oh yes, complete censorship. A Red Dragon censor wall. Operation Golden Shield commenced in 1998, right before the persecution began. They strategically created a final solution campaign, just like the Nazis did. Anyway, it's basically, it was created to crack down Falun Gong, to destroy Falun Gong, and to create this organ harvesting industrialized trade to make billions of dollars a year off their organs.
Right, and their cost is very low. All they have to do is pay salaries for the police squads to go around and collect people, I guess.
Absolutely, and everyone's making money off it. Specifically, the military is making money. They're turning doctors into murderers, and this is a new form of evil and genocide that we've never seen in our lifetimes. The scale, the scope, the magnitude. I was actually arguing with a lady who supposedly is telling me that compared to China, that it's the same is going on in the United States. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is nonsense compared to what is going on in China. I asked if, yes, you have the big pharma. What they've done to the people, and the forced vaccinations, and even Planned Parenthood.
Yeah. Planned Parenthood has killed something like 60 million unborn babies now.
Yes. It's shocking, and the baby parts. But to put such a industrialized organ trade in China to persecute and target 100 million people, not to mention the other 17 million Uyghurs and countless numbers of Tibetans and house Christians, it's insane. And this is a new form. So I tried to share this with her, and I was debating with her about this, but
arguments and debates are very often wasted time because people are only interested in proving that you're wrong. But there's a lot of people that actually want to know what you're talking about. More than enough to keep you busy, I think, without just feeling burned out. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, how are the people, in your opinion, because I know you've interacted with a lot of Chinese people, how are they holding up under that? What's going on with them spiritually and emotionally and mentally as a result of that environment?
You mean the Falun Gong practitioners?
Yeah, because they're the main ones being persecuted, right?
Yes. Such courageousness to withhold and stand strong and steadfast under a reign of terror that we cannot even comprehend and fathom. And that's why I love how these so-called democratic socialists and communists, I call them outright communists, as I was saying, let them go to China and be a Falun Gong practitioner under the Red Guard and under the reign of terror for one day, or in the coming years, and let's see how they handle it then. And I can tell you that I just take my hat off to the bravery and the courageousness and the conviction and the resilience of the Falun Gong practitioners who have lost everything. And the normal Chinese person has been so brainwashed under the communist regime. Literally, Richard, Doug, when you see them coming off the boat as a tourist or coming into the normal society that we call in the United States, it's still a normal society compared to China. They act so differently. I'm not sure if you've seen a bunch of Chinese at the airport, but they fight with each other, they yell, they scream, because communism is all about violent revolution, violent struggle, fighting against each other, hurting each other, harming each other for a little bit of personal gain. And
Wait, you're supposed to fight each other to have a revolution so that you can have some kind of ideal society or something like that?
To be controlled, basically, through genocide and ethnocide. So genocide.
But why do they think they're fighting with each other?
Why do you think that the Chinese are fighting with each other?
Why do they think that they're fighting with each other? What are they fighting for?
You mean the Chinese government?
No, the people who you just described.
Oh, because they're brainwashed, they're poisoned. They're poisoned by the lies of the communist regime. They have been controlled. That's why the 9 Commentaries is a great publication, because they will really bring insight to why and how evil the communist regime is. It's a demonic specter that as soon as you're out of the womb, you have to swear bloody allegiance to it. And you belong to the cult. You belong to the evil cult of the communist regime. It is the cult of cults.
Do they have people spying on each other to turn each other in like the Nazis did?
Yes, absolutely. And Anastasia Lin actually did the Witness Project, which is a voice of communism, a survivor of communism. And she explained how she had to spy on her neighbors, spy on her classmates, scapegoat people, incite hatred, and in turn, the communist regime will turn everyone against each other. Even cannibalism. I mean, how they would make the Chinese people sell their own children for. I mean, it's very sick. There's so much that I can that is shared in the 9 commentaries of the Communist Party. That's why I really urge you to read it.
Okay. That would be great. So now, since the attack on Falun Gong is, in my opinion, and you can tell me if you agree, it's kind of a sign of something deeper that's attempting to sweep the whole planet right now and victimize absolutely everybody. Certain groups are easier and more desirable as targets, but ultimately I think they're after everybody. And the U.S., many of the top globalist leaders in the U.S. have gone to China and said it's the ideal society and it's what they want to bring to the whole West and the rest of the world. So what would you recommend is the best way to help prevent that from happening in people's own internal life and how they relate to each other?
Discernment and touching their hearts through the Falun Gong exercises, sharing people the exercises of Falun Gong, having them conduct more of their moral understanding of truthfulness and compassion and tolerance. But like you said, it's very hard because the morality is so hard, is so bad nowadays, and the degeneration of the human mind is so horrible. I mean, we're in the end of times. I mean, it's really that point. And so it's extremely hard to lead. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah, I found that to be true.
And I feel that every time I share with people, I mean, the evidence that is black and white, that is beyond a reasonable doubt, they still reject it because people instinctively will reject the truth no matter what it is. They won't believe it, and that's how, because the morals of human beings today and the decay of human society is so that you can see the media. I mean, you can see what people live for nowadays and how people think, and the modern day progressiveness and the modern day Marxist movement and how they are. I mean, they just banned Alex Jones from YouTube. They're banning Alex Jones from Facebook. Yeah, you saw that, like the Infowars. So
was that on Infowars just in the last few hours?
Few hours, yeah. The live videos, yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. So what I do is that I try to see where people are attached and try to put myself in their shoes as best as I can to see where they're coming from and how I can reach them. But it's extremely difficult, Richard. As you can tell, I'm sure you know, it's very difficult.
The power structure realizes that the brainwashing that you're talking about is one of the most important projects that they have. And so the whole system of education and media and entertainment are all parts of that brainwashing now, seems to me.
Yes, absolutely. It's very sad what is going on and what has gone on and what is, and the Falun Gong, such courageous people, and we try and target the Chinese people to waking them up to this nightmare that they've been living under for the last 50 years under the communist regime. I mean, I'm in Vietnam, and I'm telling you right now that I see the party culture, we call it, the deceptiveness, the sneakiness, the saying one thing, doing another, the fighting, the not trusting. After the fall of Saigon and Ho Chi Minh, who was also a devil in disguise, he and I ride my bike by his grave, a huge monument in Hanoi. Yeah. And what the communism has done, I mean, it's so sinister and it's so evil, and that's why, Richard, the 9 commentaries, it's an incredible documentary, and it's the book that's already inspired over 300 million people to quit the Chinese Communist Party in China, and it's quite amazing.
How do you quit the party when they're interested in killing you if you are not a member?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? There is a organization outside of China called Tuidang, quit the Communist Party. So people register online through internet software that has been created by Falun Gong and used by massive companies, tech companies, because there have been serious Falun Gong practitioners that founded cybersecurity firms before the persecution and after the persecution was going on, that could break through the Red Wall of China, the Operation Golden Shield, and now this technology has been used by major firms in the tech industry, and the largest firms actually. And this was actually originated by Falun Gong practitioners trying to break through the internet censorship wall, and they do that. And a lot of Chinese can get out through that censorship wall. And
so they have a way to communicate that might actually be more or less safe at this point with the outside world? Exactly,
100%. Exactly.
Is there kind of an underground hierarchy where there's some leaders of that movement that would like to speak publicly on the outside, on the air, such as what we're doing?
Yes, but not right now. It's too risky. It's too dangerous, and it's soon. One of these days, soon. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But right now, there was a question being raised in about a month ago about this, but it's not safe yet. It's still very dangerous. The environment is not safe to come out yet. So
they're all that makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll stay in touch for the future on that. And for the West, right now, the only place that you know of, I guess, that they're doing this to the practitioners is in China, right? This is not happening like in North Korea or places like that?
In North Korea, I don't think there's any practitioners in North Korea, but the communist regime has sent their spies. I mean, my car was broken into. I have been followed. My computer was hacked by the Chinese government. I had to sit down with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They do demonize people around the world. Not that you're in any danger, and but we do what we have to do to get the truth out. And actually, Cheng Yong-lin, who was a consul general, worked for the consul general of Australia, he defected, and I saw him speak in Washington D.C. This was about a month or 2 months after what happened to me and a couple of people, Falun Gong practitioners, Chinese Falun Gong practitioners in America, in Atlanta, Georgia, that they were broken. Their houses were broken into by spies, and not to worry, nothing will be happening to you.
No. Well, we know that in America at this point, Hollywood is almost entirely run by the Chinese government.
Absolutely.
And most of the universities, the same thing. And they didn't lend all this money to the U.S. government solely to be just really nice and generous. They own most of the debt for the U.S. now. So they actually call the shots with a lot of what's going on in this country. It's an interesting situation. But for the people in the Western countries where this is not overtly happening in the same way as it is in China, what would you tell people about, what they can contribute before that happens in their country?
Well, this kind of evil is not going to happen in other countries. I can assure you about this, because the communist regime is about to collapse. It will collapse. This kind of evil will not survive. We have too much evidence coming out. We are going to win the day. We are going to win. There's no doubt about that. The communist regime cannot do this for much longer and get away with it. I can tell you right now. And no matter how much the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the Vatican, and the governmental agencies out there want to conceal the facts, the Holocaust happened. They try to do it there, and other genocides try to do it there as well. They try to conceal it and make money off it and get a piece of the pie. They failed, and they will fail miserably now. It's only a matter of which side do people want to stand on before this all comes tumbling down, and when they are all exposed for being criminally aiding and abetting and complicit with the communist regime's forced organ harvesting of the Falun Gong in China. So it's just a matter of time. There will be Nuremberg trials, more so than ever before. The perpetrators will be brought to justice. I have no doubt about that. And this will come to light as the most horrific new form of genocide ever to exist in modern history and history itself. And that's a huge claim, but it is a claim that I will stick to, and back with all my heart, my soul, my spirit, and my mind. And don't mock my words. Well, you can mock my words, but wait, you'll see. It's in the future. The future is yet to come, and I tell you, I'm grateful, as I said before, Richard, to come on your show, to be part of your circle, to spend time with you, to share about this with you, because not many have really had the courage to say, you know what, let me have this guy on, let me talk to him about this, and speak about this, because it's so hard to believe. And I often think to myself, these people talk the talk, but when it comes down to it, they don't walk the walk. And I'm actually quite frustrated about that. You, my friend, walk the walk. You know full well what's going on, and you have the courage and the decency and the backbone and the heart and the balls and the sincerity to have someone on like me that is talking about something that is so unimaginably hard to believe in this day and time, and yet you still allow me to come on. And that courage, that is divinity, and someone who knows their hearts and knows their souls and knows their spirits and knows their life, and who has cultivated their heart in such a way that you're a very high level being. You and Doug are very high level beings for allowing me to come on here. I'm giving you praise, but I can tell you right now, you walk your walk as best as I can say it.
Well, you know what I feel about it, Mitchell, is I think this is an area where Alex Jones has explained it really well. Once you see some things that are happening and you realize, your choices all the time, and you want to look back on your life and see that you did what you could, it's just kind of a normal only option. It's not, I think that's why he always says to everybody, don't thank him, because he feels like he just can't do anything else. And I imagine you feel the same way.
Absolutely. And he's not crazy, and he's not psychotic. He's just got such passion. And I understand him. I understand where he's coming from. I understand the way he approaches things. Sometimes, people don't get it because they're stupid. They don't see and understand the language and the passion. And sometimes it can get him into trouble. I understand that overzealousness.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he jokes around all the time, and then the media will record it and use it against him. And, yes. But he's going to keep doing that, I think. And
he still wins. He still comes out on top. And
yeah, well, there's a lot of people protecting him. And I think we have to assume if we make our only option choice, all of us, you, me, Doug, and everybody else, that we're going to be protected if we're supposed to be. So we don't really have to worry about it.
Absolutely, because there is a divine force in play here that is more than any mortal can comprehend. And these demonic forces in this world, there have been a lot of demons that have reincarnated as human beings. We don't want to get into it, but
no, it's true. I mean, I think the physical beings walking around are the tiniest part of the whole picture. And most of reality, we don't see.
Exactly. But for us to just, like I said, for you allowing me to share, and I have to praise you and Doug again, because, I've talked to so many people, I've reached out to so many people, I've asked so many people, even in the middle of people saying, oh, I'm a God-fearing man, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that, but nothing, no, they don't come back to me. They don't come back, and it's like
well, you're lucky some of them don't come back, because the extreme devotion to God that I've seen in some people are some of the ones that have been the most vicious, and there's different levels of that kind of connection, and fortunately there's one that's real. And for me, having guests like you on it is incredibly valuable, and having people of the character you're talking about, which certainly includes Doug at the top of the line. That's all that makes it possible, and it's so inspiring, because it makes you feel like the world is not just full of evil. There's a lot more going on.
Oh, Doug's fantastic. And Doug told me about he saw Shen Yun, and that's a show I hope, Richard, you get to see, because that's beautiful too.
I would really like to. Yeah, it sounds great.
Oh, you'd love it. Yeah, it's such a, you only find very few people in life, a handful of people that really have the heart the spirit, the soul, the vision. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you and Doug, in talking to you have held on to your soul, your connection to the divinity and where you came from in the universe. I'm not sure where you came from, but it's quite remarkable.
Yeah. I feel like we're trying to come up to the level of a normal human, what it's supposed to be.
Sure.
So anyway, we kept you up really late, and it's a real honor to have the chance to meet you, and I think I'm really supportive of everything you're doing, and I hope we'll stay in touch.
We will, yes, and you have everything, and I saw the videos. You did, Doug was wonderful, had gave the Facebook, and I saw there was over 1,000 people. That's one. Even if I touch one person, even if I just came to talk to you and shared about following,
it affects the whole world by radiation.
What I think there's a Jewish saying: one who affects or saves one person or helps one person helps the whole entire world. One who harms one person harms the entire world.
I think that's literally true. It's not just a belief. It's that there's a reason that they're using frequency to try to destroy us, because frequency is super powerful and it's not all negative. Yes. We're the generators that are way more powerful than any cell tower they could ever build. Absolutely. So if that gets focused, then what you said works.
Absolutely. And I practiced the Falun Gong exercises today. Man, these exercises are amazing. I just feel so good and so healthy, and I understand why.
I want to try them out. I'm assuming you can do it from a book.
You can do it online at fallenduffer.org, but I would also get in contact. Where are you in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm in Arizona.
Yeah, there are people in Arizona, in Tempe, Arizona, and Phoenix and different places that will show you the exercises. They do it at the park. How far are you from Tempe, Arizona? 2.5
hours.
Oh, you are, okay. Yeah. If you go to Fallen, if I write it in the
spell that again for our group too. Fallen what now? Falun.
FALUNDAFA.org.
Dafa.org. Okay, and they've got stuff on there, and if any of us want to try it, we can do it from there.
Yes, and look at the contacts, the local contacts in your area, and seek them out. And they're wonderful. The volunteers are wonderful. It's free of charge. Okay. They're in the park. Look, guys. This is not a cult. This is not a sinister religion. This is not an extremist group. I come from a Jewish family. I'm a spiritual man. It doesn't interfere with any of your faiths. If you want to practice, you want to practice. If you don't want to practice, you don't have to practice. That's the beauty of Falun Gong. And that's what actually intrigued me about this practice. It made me feel so comfortable that there's no conditions. There's no practice.
Well, also, I've seen very clearly that what you do with your body affects your consciousness. Exactly. So you may get more than physical benefit from these exercises.
Amazing, amazing, and I mean, there's a really good book from Margaret Tay. I think her name is. Let me give you the book. Let me give you the book. Hold on 1 second, if I may.
Sure.
See where it is. The book is, and this talks about the. Her name is. Okay. Her name is Dr. Margaret Trey, Trey, and the book's name is The Mindful Practice of Falun Gong.
Okay.
Meditation for Health, Wellness, and Beyond. Yeah, The Mindful Practice of Falun Gong, Meditation for Health, Wellness, and Beyond, by Dr. Margaret, Margaret, Margaret Trey.
Okay, good. So anybody who wants to look that up can get it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for the inspiration and encouragement for everybody. I really appreciate it. And
we will be talking soon, Richard. Don't worry. And whenever you want me on, whenever you want to come back, we want to come back and talk. I'm more than willing. I'm always here, ready and available.
Okay. That's great. And if I don't, call when you would like to, just let me know.
I will, and you have my Skype, it won't change, and you have my email, it won't change either, so I'm all here.
Okay, sounds great. Have a good rest tonight.
You too. And thanks, Doug, always. And I really, truly hope you see Shenyu and Richard. You would love it.
I want to. I'll look for it.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Good night.